kind of solution. We have not brought forth any proposals as to how we think we can correct the situation or stop the cuts. And basically right now, we know the program is going to be cut because there's not enough money. What's our solution? And I think we, as providers, have to come up with solutions.
William, this is Karen, and I'd like to address that. First, I'd like to say that the things that we've been doing for years were successful. That when this governor first came into office, he did almost the same thing of proposing to eliminate the complete residuals program, to eliminate completely public authorities, to completely eliminate advisory committees, and on and on. This last year of 2009 was unique in the first time that we have lost. So I want to point that out, that we have been successful, and what you've been doing has made an effect in the Capitol. Secondly, is that the UDW, the Home Care Workers Union, in partnership with Deborah's organization, Disability Rights California, we pushed the legislature hard last year to mitigate IHSS cuts by taking away the COLA, the profit piece that the nursing homes get, and also looking at ways that we might be able to successfully bring in additional federal dollars. It's just appalling to me, and I believe Deborah might want to address this as well, that the budget slates an increase for nursing homes while proposing at the same time to cut 87% of the consumers out of IHSS on the best case scenario. Those kinds of alternatives need to be put back before the legislature again, and I think the piece that we missed last year was having a grassroots effort to support the taking money from the nursing homes, their profit piece, and so forth. Maybe, Deborah, you can speak to that.
She knows it's one of my favorites. I think there's a bunch of pieces that could be part of a solution, and I hope that you don't end that conversation here, because I think you do have some ideas, and I think you should bring them to the IHSS Coalition or however you want to do it. But I want to say two things about this. One, yes, Karen is absolutely right. I mean, the state has heard of the Olmstead decision. It's been 10 years. I think Lilibeth was talking to you about that before. The nursing homes have a built-in profit that no home and community-based services do. It's called this labor-driven operating allocation, and if anybody wants to talk to me about it, you can grab me later. And they've also gotten increases whenever everybody else has been cut. So, but bigger than that is the idea of this is not a short-term solution, a combined long-term care budget. That instead of having the nursing homes over here protected by whatever it is that protects them in the legislature, and IHSS's ass hanging out over here when it serves the same people, and adult day health services over here, and MSSP, we should do what Washington State did in 1993 and realize that it's all the same people. It should be all in one pot, and there should be a legislated mandate that would survive administrations that said our preference is for home and community-based services. That's going to be the default setting. And take away all the incentives that are built into the system now for institutionalization. Like, gee, you're going to lose all your optional benefits to the community, but if you go into a nursing home, you can get them all, and so on and so forth. So what I'm advocating for is to look at a global long-term care budget that doesn't protect anything but the people who need long-term care services. And in Washington State, since 1993, they have drastically increased their home and community-based services and paid for it 100% out of savings from the institutional side. So I'm hoping that when you hear more about that, you will support it. There are a couple legislators who are interested in this concept who probably wouldn't be if we weren't in the crisis we are in. So instead of me just aiming at the nursing homes, although they are my favorite target in the world, to look at it more globally and say, where can we save money out of institutions and put it into home and community-based services where people want to be, where the money goes a lot farther, and by the way, it's the law.
What about the California access channel in Sacramento? How about, I know last year I forgot what the issue was. I believe it was on IHSS. A supporter, I forgot who it was. Did they call it program? Now, I'm thinking of getting several supporters, hopefully at least one or two Republicans. By the way, do we have a breakdown on any Republican that we could is leaning on the fence that we could target?
Republicans who are on the fence, like on the fence being pushed out?
Yeah.
Karen, you want to address that? Because I know you have their names on the tip of your tongue. And I just want to say the person who asked that question may be the longest serving advisory board member he was on the advisory board in Alameda County when I was the executive director in 1995, Jim Gonzalez. And he's back.
Oh, Jim.
And he's back. So good to see you and Mary. Go ahead. Give us some names.
Jim, this is Karen. I haven't seen you for quite a while. And your question is really good about which Republicans to target. There are a handful of Republicans who are not going to be running again for office this year. And one, for example, Danny Gilmore, who's out of the lower San Joaquin Valley. That would be an example of a member who may vote against IHSS cuts and not face ramifications, and maybe even potentially for some of the revenue measures that will be considered over the course of the budget debate. Anthony Adams out of San Bernardino also has announced that he's not running again. Senator Roy Ashburn out of Kern and San Bernardino County, that would be another target. And there's a list of them that some of us are developing. There's also some Republicans that are in marginal seats and Democrats as well that are in marginal seats. So the research to identify in a sophisticated way the legislators that we view as most likely to go the furthest out on the limb, that's being done very quickly and will be shared with coalition partners in your organization as well.
I want to add another piece to that. There's a great interest in two other kind of more general pieces of a solution, not specific to IHSS, but there's a whole group of people who are advocates for various programs who are trying to shore up Democrats and maybe some Republicans on the revenue side. And there are a bunch of documents out there about more revenues from California. If you have never looked at the California Budget Project website, I highly recommend